Don't look too happy.
I'm not happy.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my husband with me.
Hi.
This is Tyler. You guys have seen him before once, but
I was sleeping.
he was sleeping.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
So today we wanted to come on and give you guys a little backstory of how we met and how we've got to where we are in our fertility journey.
It's a pretty cool story. I don't like to make fun of other couples or belittle other couples, but we did kind of have one of those, like, if one little thing had been off in the timing, or if I had said one thing wrong, like, we might have ended up, never speaking again, sort of thing. So,
it was a very butterfly effect.
Yeah, and stuff kind of just aligned in a perfect kind of way for us, and it was kind of hard to ignore the finer points of the situation. So that's kind of how we ended up, or we're gonna, I guess, kind of explain how we ended up where we are today in our journey. This is her channel, so I'm just kind of like, I'm here for moral support and to kind of fill in any details that she leaves out. So I guess we'll go ahead and kind of get into the nitty gritty of how we found ourselves together, and
Let's go.
let's go.
Okay, so first I want to apologize because I know I told you guys that I would post stuff like this on my other channel, but I'm having a hard time getting that up and running. So there probably will be a couple more videos like this on this channel. My apologies. But anyways, so what was it? Was it a Friday? I feel like it was a Friday.
Well, first of all, I guess what we'll start with is I'm an employee at a restaurant, and have been for a long time. It's something that I enjoy doing, and I train other employees for that restaurant. Most of the time before I met her, most of the time I would work during the week because I was only paying my bills, so I didn't need to work on the weekends and make that extra money. Not that you're overly expensive or anything like that, but this particular day I had a trainee. His name was Justin. He'd worked with us for a little while, but he was moving up in the ranks, and so I had I think it was a Thursday. And because you bought your car the next day.
That's right.
And you couldn't have done that or you wouldn't have done that on the weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, I had my trainee. We were working on taking care of some tables in sort of a back section of our restaurant that was a little bit quieter.
We can tell them the name of the restaurant, right?
Okay, yeah. At some point, the name of the restaurant will come up. But I'll tell you what, it's P.F. Chang's Chinese Bistro. So we're kind of in a back section of the restaurant. It's a little bit quieter because when I'm training, they try not to overwhelm the trainee with too much stuff. And so I'm in the back section of the restaurant, and my manager comes to me and he's like, okay, we're only going to do a couple more tables, and then we're just not very busy. We're going to cut you. You guys can go home. So my last table of the day ended up being my beautiful wife, Karina, and her best friend, Carrie. And they were coming in. She was absolutely gorgeous, and she wasn't even like all dressed up and like looking for anything. She was out looking for a car. Her friend was out helping her go to different car dealerships and kind of see what was what. And so, she was in jeans and like a t-shirt, and she wasn't trying to, grab anybody's attention, but she certainly grabbed mine.
No, it was actually really funny because my best friend Carrie, who I'm sure you guys will later meet at some point, we were driving around our mall area and we were both like hungry. We had been to a couple car dealerships. We weren't having any luck. And she was like, you know what, let's take a break, go get some food. And I was like, sounds good. I like food. Let's do it. And so we were like, well, what about like Ichiban? And she was like, I'm really kind of feeling like Chinese food. And she was like, what about P.F. Chang's? Because I hear that they like treat you like royalty there. And I was like, I could go for some Chinese, sure. Let's go. and walked in, and we both looked at each other because I'm in these jeans and this Victoria's Secret pink like workout shirt, and my hair is all like stringy. I haven't done anything with it, and we both walk in and we're like, oh crap, we are so underdressed, and we were like, oh well, we're just gonna sit down and go eat anyway. So.
Which is funny to me because having worked there for a long time, we get a lot of people that look a lot worse than that in there. No offense to the people who might watch this that go to restaurants in their PJs and whatnot. But so anyway, they end up seating Karina and Carrie in our section.
Table 15.
Table 15. 14. Table 14.
15.
Well, we've been through this. It was 14 because 15 is on the column. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry about that. So table 14, which was barely in my section, one table over, and it would have been in somebody else's section. So Justin and I, we grabbed the stuff that we have for a greet, and I have a kind of a long-standing like self-policy where I don't intentionally flirt with guests. You know, some people they'll do anything to get the extra dollar, but I try really hard to just sort of be like, you know, as friendly and as, you know, amenable as possible.
You were flirting.
Apparently I was flirting. She was apparently flirting as well, but being a man, I had no idea that was happening. But one of my good friends that had worked there for a long time, he was bartending, and I go over to him after like the first time I walked up the table. I was like, Nate, this girl, she's beautiful. She's super sweet. You know, I wish I had the courage to sort of like, you know, ask her if she wanted to go out on a date with me. He was like, man, you should do it. You should do it. I'm like, man, I just can't do that. That's not how I tend to approach tables. I'd never asked a girl out at a table. I wasn't about to do it that day. So anyway, things progressed in the course of their meal. They really seem to enjoy the food. They're very chatty. They're very sweet. And anyway, after, long story short, they leave. I say, you know, my typical, you know, it was a pleasure getting to take care of you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you have a success finding a new car. So they've left the restaurant. I opened the book, and she had left her number for me.
And a tip. I left a tip, guys.
Yeah, she did. It wasn't just like, here's my number. I don't actually care about your financial situation. She did both. And it was only the second time that anybody had ever left their number for me, and the first one was just like the polar opposite. She was just a total horrible person, and so I was like, yo, this is so exciting. And I run over to the bar, and I tell Nate, I'm like, dude, she left her number for me. I'm so excited. And I was like flabbergasted. My favorite manager, her name's Renee. She's one of the best bosses I've ever had. She was working that morning, and I'm like, Renee, she left her number for me. What do I do? Because I was just, I'd never called anybody. I'd never like asked for a date. I was never really a romantic kind of guy. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends in high school. Never really practiced my charm. And so she was like, you know what? Don't think about it too much. When you get home tonight, just give her a call. The worst that can happen is that she can say no, but that's obviously not going to be the case because she left her number for you. So either she's pulling your leg and she's being a horrible person, or she really wants to go on a date with you. So it's a win-win. And I was like, oh, you put it that way, cool. So I call her up at probably, I would say it was dark. I called her up probably about 7:30 in the evening. And she picks up the phone, and I'm like, hey, Karina, this is Tyler.
And I'm like, at this point, we'd been to like car dealerships. I'd picked out a car. I was exhausted. My friend and I had to take a detour. We were lost. And so, like he said, he calls me, and I pick up the phone. He's like, hey, it's Tyler. And I was like, oh, hey. No clue who I was on the phone with. And he was like awkward silence for a couple seconds. Then he was like, from P.F. Chang's? And I was like, oh my gosh, hey, yeah, I'm so sorry, how are you?
Completely forgot about me. So anyway, I once her memory was jogged and she knew who she was talking to, I asked her if she wanted to go out with me. She seemed really excited about it. My dad was the only one home that evening, so I told him, I was like, hey, guess what, Dad? I have a date. And he was like, is it with a girl? Because my dad's kind of an ass. And I was like, yeah, it's with a girl. And so it was a super exciting thing. I called my mom. She was up in Michigan with my older sister, and she was super excited for me. Everybody was super excited for me. And it came down to, I think it was the night before or the day of the date.
I think it was the day of, but I think it was like several hours.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit of heads up, but I sent her a text message, and I was like, hey, I just wanted to make sure that we were still on for the date tonight. And I don't exactly remember. I don't exactly remember what she said.
I said I had to babysit my sister.
She said she had to babysit her sister, which, being super naive, I guess, I was like, oh, yeah, cool, no, that's fine, we can just reschedule it for another day. Not realizing that she was trying to, back out on the date. But she, I think she could kind of tell that I was super excited about it. And so we rescheduled for...
I was just in a really bad mood that day.
Yeah.
And I knew if I went out on the date, it wouldn't be fair to him because I wouldn't have been giving it my all. So my mom was like, look, why don't you just tell him that I needed you to watch your little sister and just reschedule it. And I was like, okay. And so that's what I did.
Which, right over my head, I was just like, oh, no, she has something else going on. Family is important. That's cool. So we rescheduled for about a week out, and I had picked out...
Was it that long? I thought it was just a few days. I thought we were supposed to go out on that Tuesday, and then we went out on that following Thursday.
That could be. Yeah.
Because you had that meeting at Clyde's that Thursday.
So anyway, a couple days, we rescheduled for a couple days out, and I had a work function earlier on in that evening downtown. We live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so our downtown, if you've never been to Chattanooga, I highly recommend coming and visiting. It's got a really cool vibe, a lot of really friendly people. But we have an art district that has a really wonderful Italian restaurant, traditional Italian restaurant, called Tony's, which is one of my favorite places to eat of all time. She'd never been there. It was perfect. It was nice and romantic. I knew it was going to be later in the evening, so they weren't going to be busy, and we would kind of have a little bit of space to ourselves. But what I didn't realize was that during the week, Tony's closes like an hour before every other restaurant in existence. They close at like 9 o'clock, which I didn't know. And so I get there a little bit early. I leave my work function a little bit early because I want to make sure that I beat her to the restaurant. And I'm there for probably like 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes. And it's about 10 minutes past when she said that she was going to be there. And so at this point, my naivety has kind of left me. I'm like, oh, I'm about to get stood up. So I shoot her a text message, and she ends up calling me pretty quickly after, and it's like, I had no idea where I was going.
So I drove all the way up to the mall area, which, so here's, Chattanooga. The mall is, up here, and downtown is, over here. And it was raining, and I can't see in the rain. And so it was dark, it was raining. I had drove all the way up to the mall area, realized that that is not how you get to downtown Chattanooga, turned all the way back around and had to go the complete opposite direction off of the interstate. And then once I finally got into downtown, I think I had to recall him again because I had no clue.
Wow.
I knew because there's a really cute coffee shop called Rembrandt's right beside it, and I had been to Rembrandt's, but just as with friends, so somebody else has always drove. So just as far as me getting there, I was on Market Street or something. I was like, I have no idea where I'm going, and so...
Anyway, she finally got there. She looked gorgeous. I was blown away. We got to sit at the table for a lot longer than we probably should have because the server that was taking care of us had friends of his that were sitting in his section, and for whatever reason, the owner was just totally cool with just letting people sit and hang out after they had closed. So it was literally, it was this table and then it was us until like 10:15 at night, like an hour and 15 minutes after they closed. We were still sitting there, and I was trying to seem more sophisticated than I really am, which worked really well, I might add. But I ordered a glass of wine, and she ordered a glass of wine. Neither one of us drinks wine, we found out. We were just trying to impress the other person, which, I mean, if you're ever getting into a relationship, drink wine. It's impressive. But yeah, so the date went fantastic. She had just bought this brand new car, and I, here again, just like naively was just sort of like, as I was walking her back to her car, I was like, you know, I see you found a car, that's awesome. I've never sat in a brand new car, like what's it like? And so she invites me to just come like sit in her car, right? Just like sit in her car. So we sit in the car for probably another good hour and 15 minutes just talking. I mean, it was just one of those, it was kind of one of those like dreamy first dates where it seems like no matter what topic came up, there was always a lot to talk about. Which, if you've ever been on a date, which I had been on dates before, but if you've ever been on a date that doesn't go well, it's just like you find yourself just kind of sitting there looking across at the other person going, I can't even talk to you now and I just met you. Like, maybe this isn't for us, but for us it was just sort of like, it was like neither one of us could shut up about anything. We just had so much to talk about. It was clear that we were just totally driving on the same wavelength. And so, like, we agreed to go out, like, that evening. I was like, I'll shoot you a text message, I'll give you a call, because I want to do this again. And so that's kind of how things got started. And I'm not going to take you through all of the dates, but things progressed for us really quickly.
We were together 5 months, and then he proposed, which we had moved in together. Oh, we were only dating like 3 months. When we moved in, right?
Our first official date happened at the very beginning of November.
Mm-hmm.
I moved in towards the end of February, so it was kind of a whirlwind thing. And you know, there's sort of two prevailing thoughts on that, where it's just sort of like, you know, you should wait and you should get to know each other and, like, you know, take your time and there's no rush. And then the other thought is, you know, when you know, and there's no point dicking around waiting for something to scare you off. That's kind of why and here again, no offense to anybody, but like, when you know, don't wait around for something to change your mind. Just dive headfirst into it, and you know, if you get into it and it doesn't work, you can say you tried. Mm-hmm. But if you wait around for, you know, 9 months, year and a half, trying to look for that thing that's going to scare you off, and then you do it, you just wasted 9 months of your life that you could have been having an amazing relationship under the same roof with the person that you love. And so that's what we did. We got engaged in April, and it wasn't particularly long. Because one thing that she had mentioned to me several dates in was that she'd really had no interest in having kids. That just wasn't something that she'd ever really wanted to do. She was kind of, you know, she as it pertained to me, I think the exact wording was, I'm afraid that if I have kids, you're not gonna give me as much attention. You're gonna give all of your attention to the kids. And I'm like, you know, that's I guess a legitimate fear, but at the same time, it's like, you know, whatever. But she came around really, really quickly, and
to back up and kind of reiterate on that, so that way it doesn't make me sound like a horrible self-centered person. I came from a high school where I was bullied really, really badly, and then had gotten into a almost 3-year-long relationship with this guy. We'll call him Bill. And just it was bad. You know, he definitely paid way more attention to his family. It was all about his family. It was all about him. We never went to my family functions. You know, like at Christmas time, he 1 year, just 1 year only, came to my family function for 20 minutes and then said, okay, get in the truck, we've got to go. So shame on me, because I should have ended that way sooner, but I didn't. And yeah, so that was, attention for me was kind of like I need it.
Yeah, it when we were having the conversation, and I should quantify this, when we were having that conversation, like, it wasn't just sort of like, oh, well, you know, you're crazy and scary. It was like, from conversations that we had previously, I understood. It wasn't like I was just like, oh, well, you know, kids is super important to me, and if you don't want kids, then, you know, this can't work. Like, it wasn't like it was a threat, or, you know, me, you know, making her feel like she's a horrible person because she didn't want kids. It was just something that I was like, okay, that makes sense. Hopefully being with me will change her mind, and if it doesn't, that's okay. You know, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And like I said, I mean, it wasn't but a few months after we started dating where she came to me and she was like, you know, I did not want kids before I met you. And she didn't really have to finish the rest of the sentence, because, I mean, both of us kind of knew what that meant. It was like, you know, now that I've met somebody like you, like, having kids does not sound, you know, as awful as it had in past relationships, or, you know, in just coming from the background that she did. Having kids all of a sudden seemed like something that was really important for her, which was awesome, because, you know, I've always wanted to be a dad. I've been excited about being a dad since I was like, you know, 15 or 16 years old. And most guys, I mean, you know, if they're being honest with themselves, they don't typically think like that. You know, and the ones that do think like that, you know, a lot of the time they're just otherworldly awesome dudes. You know, a good dad is not something that everybody gets to have. Good parents isn't something everybody gets to have. And when you have two people that are so excited about having kids, like, together, it's just a special kind of thing. And so that's kind of how, that's why we find ourselves just so incredibly jazzed about, you know, getting into this and sort of diving into it head first. And, you know, if it was in the cards for every couple to have, you know, a smooth transition from, you know, not being parents to being parents, that would be an awesome time. It's not in it, you know, it's not in the cards for us, but we're no less excited about it. And, you know, we're jumping into this journey together, and we're just going to keep, you know, chipping away at it until it's a reality for us. So we're really excited to have people both, you know, in person with us that are, you know, have our backs and are excited for us. And it's really cool that we have people that come on here and watch Karina's videos and show their support in other ways that, you know, they're, again, most couples, they don't get that opportunity. So it's really cool. We want to thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts for watching these videos, because you are important to us just in the same way that maybe our story might be important to you. So so thank you for watching and subscribing.
You did way more talking than I did.
I did a lot of talking.
It's okay. You're good at this.
If you say so.
You should start your own channel.
What would I talk about?
I don't know.
Video games?
I don't know.
Play a lot of video games.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Should he start his own channel? What do you guys want to hear him talk about?
Yeah, comment about what you think I might ought to start a channel for, I guess. I don't know.
He does a lot of different things. He likes history, video games.
A bartend. I could teach y'all how to make some cocktails.
Yeah. He can tell jokes.
Oh yeah, I could. It might not seem like it, but I could bend you over with laughter.
Alright, well, I think that's it. That's all I have.
Yeah. It's her video. I'm just here for...
We'll be coming at you guys here soon with an update on the medicine I was taking and the side effects and doctor appointment that's coming up here soon, and we'll be back in here really soon with all that. So, bye!